Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a motorcycle racing TV show called Team Chicago Challenge. My website is teamchicago.tv, teamchicago.tv. My email is teamdan45@gmail.com, and I'd love to hear your comments. I'm with my granddaughter, Alyssa, and we're going to continue on. We're getting into the 20 teens. And this is the last part. So we get the last 10 years of my racing career, and we're going to cover some of it. Now people say, well, who would be interested in my racing career? After all, I'm not some grand national champ. I'm no Kenny Roberts. My story is the story of hundreds of people at the same time racing motorcycles, involved in motorcycles, and that's what Alyssa and I are going to talk about.
So tell me a little bit more about this Mods and Rockers.
So that's where we're starting today's show, Mods and Rockers. Okay, so Mods and Rockers was like a street get-together in Chicago. And it was sort of like a phenomena that was sort of organized, not organized. It was on Lincoln Avenue at Diversity. Delilah's the name of a bar there. And they sort of organized it with that. Larry Fletcher was sort of involved. The Ton Up Club. Ton Up Club is a group of motorcyclists that own British motorcycles. The term Ton Up comes from motorcycles that could do 100 miles an hour. So it's an old British term. And that had to do with the Ace Cafe in London. And these were the people who hung out there. And the mods were sort of the scooter guys. Mm-hmm. And were more well dressed. So you got to imagine, right after the Beatles came out in the 60s. So we're talking about 1960s, and the Rolling Stones, the Beatles. The Beatles were more clean cut than the Rolling Stones. So the mods were like clean cut, riding nice scooters, and the rockers were the hardcore motorcycle guys with the leather jackets and all that. Mm-hmm. Now, there's sort of rumors that they had little pitch battles in the streets, but nothing major. There was one incident at a beach in England, but how many people even think of a beach in England? Yeah. England just never seem like it's, it's not as cold as America, like Chicagoland, we get real cold, but it doesn't seem to ever be real warm. So swimming in the ocean around England doesn't appear. But anyhow, at the beach, that's sort of the rumor. The mods were the clean-cut scooter guys, and the rockers were the hardcore motorcycle guys. And so they sort of replicated on Lincoln Avenue, and a lot of scooter people showed up. Vespa guys and the guys with the little cut-off Hondas. And I'm going to show you, as I'm talking about it, I'm going to show you the different pictures from the different years. Mm-hmm. And right across the street from Delilah's was also the Republican headquarters on the northwest side. So I would set up by the Republicans, and I would bring my bike down, and I would do TV shows because I thought it was an important happening in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And it really captured, most people think of motorcycle people as the Harley crew. Well, it isn't just all Harley guys. Yeah. It ain't just a bunch of old men on Harley Davidson. There are younger people that own different kinds of motorcycles. He's got a big kick out of doing the shows, and like I said, Team Chicago Challenge is a motorcycle show. Yeah. And we don't have all racing. There's certain times, and I like to throw in other things that aren't just based on motorcycle racing. So right. I think that explains it.
All right. So this is pretty cool. This is the steam bike from 1894. So how did they even have this back then?
It's amazing when you talk about the Industrial Revolution. Mm-hmm. And I'm so sad. I don't think they teach that in schools anymore. The Industrial Revolution, and a huge part of the world is what came about with the steam engine, the invention of the steam engine. And the steam engine, we're talking 1790. Yeah. They had steamships in America in 1810, 1820. I mean, they had steamships going up and down the Mississippi River. So the whole steam revolution and steam power being used in factories. So it really allowed the whole concept of manufacturing to come about. So when people think of early motorcycles, they keep showing this gasoline-powered four-wheeled contraption that Daimler put together using a one-cylinder engine, gasoline-powered one-cylinder engine. But as we brought up during when we talk about the Art of the Motorcycle exhibit, which I was part of, they had a steam-powered bicycle from 1868, I believe. So using steam to propel things, because then your steam engines and the trains, you're talking 1820s, 1810s. I mean, Abraham Lincoln, his first major contract he had with as a lawyer was the Illinois Central Railroad to get railroad rights into Illinois. So we're talking 1830 steam engines, I mean, trains.
Yeah.
So this is all going on in the world. So the nice thing, the story about that motorcycle with the steam engine, or bicycle with the steam engine, I'm showing you the picture there, and I seen that at the Hartung Auction. So we're going to show a little clip from the Hartung Auction also, because my good friend Dale Walksler joined me, but this was there on display. One road racer guy, Dave Roper, it turns out the guy who built it, if you look at the article, it's a Roper that built that.
Yeah.
And the neat thing, and I hope I can find the footage because I looked at that real closely, they had two pistons coming off the steam, and to drive the back wheels was two pistons going back and forth, and didn't have a chain drive, it had these two pistons driving like a crankshaft.
Yeah.
And the crankshaft on the rear wheel connected to the only trouble with steam, and that's why the Stanley steamer never really caught on, because it takes almost a half hour to build the fire to finally get the steam, the head of the steam up.
Yeah.
So you would have to build the fire, put the coal in if you're going to use coal or wood. It would take you 15 or 20 minutes to get enough steam to have power.
Yeah.
So that's the whole drawback on the whole steam idea. But I'm going to show one clip now of one of the really unique bikes at the Hartung Auction. Now Hartung was a guy, another recluse. Would that be the term, recluse?
Yeah.
It is huge building in Glenview. It is stacked to the gills with automobiles and motorcycles. Some very, very collectible, I think. And this guy lived like in total poverty in a little trailer next to his building. And when everything was sold, it took him like $3 million. He could have lived a nice life. But, you know, there's many strange people. But I'm lucky that my good friend Phil Young said, let's go to that auction. Well, they had a preview day. So we went to the preview day, and you had to pay just to go to the preview day. And you couldn't even park there. You had to park elsewhere, and they bust you in. There was hundreds of people. It was a big event, and I'm so happy I had the opportunity, and that's how I got to see that steam motorcycle.
Yeah.
You know, Lee Hartung, born right here in the Chicago area, actually collected all of this stuff over a 60-year period, and actually almost everything you see in the building, outside the building, and in the pole barn, Lee found within 15 miles of where we're standing. It's really one of the most amazing stories in the world. Lee loved motorcycles. He really liked dogs, but that's another story. But some of the bikes Lee collected have a lot of Chicago provenance. The Henderson Company, of course, being on Cortlandt Street in Chicago, was certainly a favorite of Chicagoans in their daily use. And collecting Hendersons in Lee's day was probably something that came quite naturally. The bike I'm next to here is a 1926 Henderson. It's called a deluxe model. This machine was sitting in the building for about 40 years. I actually helped take this machine down off of the shelf, rolled it out, lubed up these cylinders, and added some gas. The bike fired right up. The Flying Merkle to my left was certainly a bike that Lee was very proud of, but at the same point, this bike caused Lee a huge amount of agony and grief for everybody that walked into Lee's building. Always said, "What do you want for the Merkel?" And that really kind of infuriated Lee, because there's so much more to look at in Lee's collection than a flying Merkel. So the amount of time that people spent trying to pry this motorcycle out of Lee caused him a lot of angst in his life. It was actually sitting on the upstairs shelf with about 7 other rare motorcycles, and the Flying Merkel, made in Middletown, Ohio, truly one of the milestone marks in America. The ball bearing engine, the beautiful orange paint with the great Flying Merkel decal, really a great bike.
All right, so I'm looking at the election handouts from when you ran for Congress. So how did you get involved with that?
Wow. It's a great story. And I'm very proud of what I did. I got involved with Republican politics in probably like 80, 83, 80. I became a Republican. Ronald Reagan was the president. Mm-hmm. One of my customers on the coffee truck, and I'll tell you about her again, Kathy Baylor was her name then, and she was gorgeous and smart, and she would challenge me. I mean, it was so much fun, because here I'm running the coffee truck, we're at the IC train station, I got people coming and going, and she would hang out for a while and we would talk politics. So here's this gal challenge me in politics. I mean, saying, how can me as a businessman be a Democrat? And she really, shined a light to me and woke me up to politics. Mm-hmm. Because being in Chicago, you would sort of just assume that you're a Democrat. And I used to read Mike Reichel and read his stories, but it turns out Reichel was a flaming liberal. And knowing how detrimental Richard Daley was when he passed the head tax in Chicago and drove 300,000 manufacturing jobs out of Chicago. It's almost like, as we sit here today, and what's the big thing on the ballot coming up? To raise taxes, to give the government the right to raise the income tax in Illinois. Yeah. And they talk about the millionaires and the billionaires. It's a bad deal. You start raising everybody's taxes, companies are going to leave. Mm-hmm. So the same jobs that everybody wants to have a good job will be fleeing the state of Illinois. Mm-hmm. Now Obama is president. Through tricks and whatever, they passed Obamacare. Well, see, I've been self-employed my entire life. I know something about health insurance. Mm-hmm. I know something about the cost of health insurance. I know something about how health insurance is sold and why it's sold and what's the cost. President Obama, with Obamacare, was going to destroy the entire industry. They really believe in national health care. And national health care is a disaster. If you believe in individual rights, you have the right to determine your own health. National health care, there's some government bureaucrat sitting in Washington, D.C. going to determine if you get an operation. Mm-hmm. I mean, check the rest of the world. Look at Canada, look at England. There's people that don't get medical care because the government dictates. Yeah. And now me, at my age, I want to live as long as I can. Well, I don't want the government saying, oh, well, you're 71, no more this, no more that. Mm-hmm. So I believe in individual rights, and I believe in individual self-determination. And Obamacare was a major disaster. Anybody independently employed, health care costs went up 2 to 3 times. So when I was self-employed with $5,000 deductible, I was paying $275 a month for my own insurance with $5,000 deductible. Mm-hmm. Under Obamacare, if I was still working, I would be paying $900 a month for the same insurance and not even have that deductible. Yeah. The deductibles and the co-pays are even greater under Obamacare. A total disaster. Mike Quigley's the congressman in my district, and he's a goofball as far as I'm concerned. And I said, well, I should run against him.
Oh, Gramps, during the campaign, Didn't you and Brandon shoot a video that was pretty popular?
You know, yeah, we should talk about that because I have to compliment Brandon. I think I put together maybe one of the best political videos ever produced. Now, I'm not going to show the whole thing, it's about 6 minutes long, but I tried to cover the entire congressional district. So I went from Montrose Beach or the Irving Park, which is the furthest east part of the district, all the way to 55th Street and Madison Avenue in Hinsdale, which is 5500 South in DuPage County. So that's how big this whole congressional district, and we jumped back and forth, and Brandon and I spent the whole day, and God bless Brandon, he did a great job with the video. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that, and then Joyce, my dear wife, also shot video when we made the East Coast trip, because I did another video clip, which I call On the Trail of Liberty. So we went from Plymouth, where the Mayflower is, and Plymouth Rock in Massachusetts, went to Boston, talked about the Boston Tea Party, went to the Statue of Liberty, went to Congressional Hall, and I did this whole thing called On the Trail of Liberty. And you can look at it if you want on YouTube, all these different little clips, and I put those clips up on YouTube. So I'm pretty proud of what I did in my campaign. I didn't have a lot of money, but I do have talent producing TV. Hello, my name is Dan Schmitt, and I'm the candidate for the 5th Congressional District in the state of Illinois. Right now we're in Hinsdale, Illinois, and this is the furthest south point of the district. Over there is 55th Street. I'm standing at 9th Street and Park Avenue. This district goes from Hinsdale, Illinois, all the way to we're standing here at Lake Michigan. The 5th Congressional District starts at Lake Michigan on the east, goes from Irving Park down to about Chicago Avenue. Then it heads west over to this area, which is between Western Avenue and Ashland Avenue to Grand Avenue. Then it goes straight north, and the 5th Congressional District comes over to this area. We're in Wicker Park. Wicker Park is here. On the other side of Milwaukee Avenue is Bucktown. This is also part of the 5th Congressional District. And I'm right here in the Manor. The Manor is part of the 5th Congressional District also. I'm up here in Edgebrook. Edgebrook is another great community that makes up the 5th Congressional District. The district runs from the lakefront through Ukrainian Village, Wicker Park, Bucktown, Roscoe Village, the Manor, up to Peterson Avenue, Peterson Park, Mayfair, Jefferson Park, Edgebrook, Edison Park. This is what I represent, the working class people of America. Hard-working people, people who work with their hands, people who work with their brains, people with incomes from 30, 40,000 up to 300,000, 400,000. Still middle class. Hello, my name is Dan Schmitt, and I'm the candidate for Congress in the 5th Congressional District in the state of Illinois. I'm in Boston right now because I am up to here with the way the media represents the Tea Party. Like the Tea Party in America is some evil group. If you listen to Chris Matthews from MSNBC, Nancy Pelosi, even our Senator, Dick Durbin, they make it sound like the Tea Party are some kind of outrageous group of people opposing President Obama. The reason the Tea Party came about was because President Obama has been spending money like insanity. As I continue my tour on the East Coast, the cradle of the history of the United States, we're here at Plymouth. This is where the settlers, the first settlers, English settlers, settled in America in 1620. It was the Pilgrims. Behind me is the Mayflower II, which was built in 1957. It's a replica of the original Mayflower. the ship that brought the Pilgrims here to Plymouth, Massachusetts. But what they learned in the first year after a few of them died over that first winter is that socialism does not work. We're in New York City, Statue of Liberty is right behind me. So let me make a little statement about liberty, what liberty really means. The Statue of Liberty was a gift to the American people from the people of France. It was in the 1870s, and by then the French probably realized that their revolution was a bloody revolution. Their revolution was not based on a supreme being like the American Revolution. The American Revolution, the Declaration of Independence, says that we have our rights are given to us by God. Our rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So, how are you running for Congress and racing at, this is Waukegan, Ohio?
Well, there were people, you know, the straight-laced Republicans that would say the same thing. I didn't change my life to run for Congress. I ran for Congress as who I am. Well, I'm doing this TV show. I have these loyalties to the motorcycle community. Even though the motorcycle community, you would think, would be in up in arms when they're taking away their rights and making them wear helmets and that. But they're really very passive. They're not as political as you would think. And when I joined the AMA is the one that said, you should be political because we got to protect our rights to ride motorcycles. Because if you look at how many, for dirt bike riders, you used to be able to ride almost anywhere. Now it's like they want to restrict you everywhere.
Yeah.
They want more laws on helmets, and you know, it's just, the politicians, if they're looking for someone to come after, it's been the motorcycle community. Mm-hmm. So I'm loyal to my audience, and I still produce the TV show. So I also, and now, because I'm running, I'm not running the Weir National Endurance Series. 4 and 6 was going through changes, so I started doing some dirt track racing again. Well, I know I have footage from Waukegan, but I really want to show you footage from Cadillac in Michigan. I had my Triumph running, and this is a great race. So I want to show you footage from Cadillac, dirt tracking. I got my Triumph that's been sitting in the garage, because I've been road racing all those years. And now I turn back to my trusty Triumph that I bought back in 1973. And I'm racing my Triumph, and this is a real tight, great race.
Now, the big twin, open twin class. I'm on my Triumph. Got an XR 750 Harley ahead of me there. And another Triumph jumping way out front on the Yamaha. That is Eric Kalenda from Grand Rapids, and he's just a young guy. Harley Davidson and a Triumph that's firing sparks. Coming out making a better drive. You can see I'm running the outside line. I'm running in the cush. Staying on the gas a little longer, heading out to the outside of the track, getting in the cush, getting a good drive. Now you square off the corner, come down, and on the gas. I get by the Harley Davidson of Dono Bannerman, and he's from Farwoodsville, Michigan. So I head right up to the hay bales, the no hay bales. I head right up to the edge of the track, square it off, come down. I'm getting a better drive. You see he's spinning up. I pass him down the straight. He's let off the gas right there. I stay on the gas. I stay on the outer edge of the track. Stay on the gas. On the gas. Uh-oh. The bike is now running on one cylinder. It was a great race. Big fun. So it ends up Eric Kalenda wins, Donald Bannerman second, John Kalenda was third, that's the dad, and Byron Sparks was fourth as I head back into the pits. It turns out that the bracket for the condenser in the magneto, I have an ARD mag on this A Cycle World 4 and 6 Triumph.
So So how come your engine stopped running on that? I thought that you were definitely going to win that race.
Well, actually, I was battling with the guy with the Harley, but we were battling for second. The guy that won it, the younger guy on a Triumph, he was already gone. So he's gone, you're not seeing him in front of us because he's really gone. He's really a fast guy. But it was such a wonderful race. I mean, and like I said, I just dragged the Triumph out of the garage. It's been sitting, and the Triumph's got a magneto, and the magneto's always giving me a little bit of headache. So it's one of them things. I got the bike running, and now the bike is running much, much better. So, but it's one of them races that I had a great time in the race. I had a great time racing the Triumph, and getting back in the dirt track was. And I'm really busy with the campaign, so you know. But I think we're running out of time.
Thank you, Alyssa, for helping me look at a big part of my life, that campaign. For more information on Mods and Rockers, which is now Motoblot, it's motoblot.com. To get a hold of Dale Walksler, it's wheelsthroughtime.com. And the AMA is AmericanMotorcyclist.com. To contact me, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. I love to hear from my audience. And remember, you can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action.